Sir, what message do you have for the people of Barotseland and the world at large?
Well, in the first place, in humbleness and due respect to the people of Barotseland, I wish to share with you few things. Firstly, let people know that the desire and the longing coupled with efforts to make Barotseland free cannot be mistaken for any ambition, but has been a realization to come out of undesirable situation. Having said that, I wish all Barotzish citizens and the international community to know that we are not making a second declaration, but instead we would like them to understand that our assertion and our right to nationality cannot be infringed by anybody. Thus, our concern has been that constructive possession is possession in contemplation of law. Indeed, by law, occupation was a means of peacefully acquiring sovereignty over a territory, otherwise than by cession or succession. It is a condition of a valid occupation that the territory should be terra nullius. That is how Barotzish occupied Barotseland in the 12th century. In the same vein, other explanation of occupation is that according to the state practice of the colonial days, territories inhabited by tribes of people having a social and political organization were not regarded as terra nullius. So occupation was through conquest or through agreement concluded with rulers. With regard to Barotseland, the report of the Zambian Constitution Review Commission 2003 summary states as follows: the Barotseland Agreement is a successor treaty to the treaties subsisting between the British Crown and the Barotse monarchy relating to the protection status of Barotseland prior to independence. The agreement incorporates the territory and transfers all obligations and rights of the British Crown. I repeat, the agreement incorporates the territory and transfers all obligations and the rights of the British Crown with respect to Barotseland to the government of Zambia. Failure to implement the agreement gives rise to questions about the legitimacy of Zambian government authority over Barotseland. End of quote. So occupation of Barotseland by Zambia was through agreement. It follows then that legal axiom states that anything is made and destroyed by one and the same means. It is indisputable that the treaty was terminated. Therefore, by law, unless the treaty otherwise provides or the parties agree, the termination of a treaty under its provisions or in accordance with the present convention releases the parties from any obligations arising from the treaty. Let me repeat that one. Unless the treaty otherwise provides or the parties agree the termination of a treaty under its provisions or in accordance with the present convention, that is the UN Convention, releases the parties from any obligations arising from the treaty. What is obvious is that there were two parties to the agreement, vis-a-vis Barotseland and Northern Rhodesia Government, or Zambia if you wish. Considering that the agreement was to be the basis of relationship, it is wise to know that one of the fundamental principles governing relationship is that the party which disowns or does not fulfill its obligations cannot be recognized as retaining the rights which it claims to derive from the relationship. Only where people use law of the jungle can there be a different vision. Maybe that is where Zambia fits in. The worst experience the Barotzish have had is that when they reminded the Zambian government about the significance of the treaty, the successor to the Zambian government, like the predecessor, tried to justify the breach by invoking the provisions of internal law for failing to honor the treaty, and further even killed people. Nevertheless, the United Nations Convention on the Law of Treaties states that a party may not invoke the provisions of internal law as justification for its failure to perform a treaty. Reference can be made to Article 27. So, on the issue of occupants, once the treaty is dishonored, parties to that agreement, treaty, should refrain from making each other's territory the object of acquisition by means of military occupation or by direct measure of force, and no such acquisition will be deemed as legal. Maybe this one can be repeated. Parties to that agreement, treaty, should refrain from making each other's territories the object of acquisition by means of military occupation or by direct measure of force, and no such acquisition will be deemed as legal. This language is clear, but Zambia, as a rogue state, resorted to force by using unscrupulous police force as an instrument of injustice and hegemonic dominance. Yet Zambia has dishonored the treaty and opted to occupy Barotseland illegally. Unfortunately, whether deliberately or not, we do not know. If they have been doing so for lack of understanding, then they have to know now that ignorance of law has no defense, and the law to us does not mean penal code, but all relevant norms of justice and the principles of law, including law of agreements. We know that Mr. Kaunda, as president of Zambia, used a committee to take away our sovereignty. In reality, the Barotse people are not a committee. In fact, those who assented to the Barotseland Constitution are more than a committee. 20,000 people is not a joke. What they have done is legitimate. And since our relationship had been later based on cheap and unfounded politicking, effected by the barrel of the police guns, we have taken the step in the right direction to acquire sovereignty and to consummate our liberty. What should be done or considered are the following. Workable approach. We should have a workable approach. In the workable approach, the first thing is that people have to renounce and reject the name Western Province. So you reject the name Western and be yourself and demand respect. Secondly, you reject or renounce Zambian nationality, if any. 3, acclaim the Ritunga as head of state of Barotseland. 4, proclaim Barotseland as a country with its own right. 5, declare the office of the president irrelevant in Barotseland, the king's land, considering that the office of the president does not serve the interest of the king or the people. Declare the office of the vice president irrelevant as well from Barotseland. How can we have the office of the vice president in Barotseland when we have the office of the Ngambela or Sote? Stop recognizing the deputy minister as head of Barotseland. He represents the president and he is politically above the Ritunga. 8. Recognize chiefs as Lord Prince or Lord Princess in Barotseland. Recognize the Slalo chiefs. Recognize all relevant authorities established in accordance with the wish of the Barotse people and in conformity with our laws. Understand that Barotseland does not belong to Zambian political parties. This is how sovereignty is restored, not by finger pointing or gossiping.
Say after me. I, Afumba Mombotwa,
I, Afumba Mombotwa,
do hereby swear that
do hereby swear that
I will endeavor to the best of my ability,
I will endeavor to the best of my ability,
protect,
defend,
and uphold the Constitution of the Kingdom of Barotseland,
and uphold the Constitution of the Kingdom of Barotseland
as an inviolable law
as an inviolable law
of the land.
And
I promise
to
protect
the independence,
sovereignty,
the sovereign,
and territorial integrity
of the
Kingdom of Barotseland, and that I shall serve
the
people of Barotseland
without discrimination,
and give the respect to the sovereign Dija Ngochana King. So help me God.
Fellow citizens of Barotseland, elderly statesmen, the world at large, brothers and sisters, and our youth, we owe thanks unto God who has preserved and protected us from the onslaughts of the evil one. Depending on his mercy, we are still living for a purpose. Fellow compatriots, for the past 50 years, Barotseland was a stateless nation. This was so because somehow, somewhere, something went wrong. Really, if Barotseland was a stateless nation, it means it was a nation without a state. And what may be true is that some of us kept on wondering why Barotseland was stateless when there was the Ritunga, we have had the Kutas and the Indunas, councillors. This gave an impression that even if we had those for 100 years or so, we would continue being stateless. Therefore, for all these years, what has been missing in Barotseland was statehood. And the moment that which is missing is put in place, then Barotseland ceases to be a stateless nation. I believe some may be confronted with a question: what is state? Is state money, military hardware, or handicrafts? Of course not. Whereas a nation is organic, state is artificial. It is something that is formed. Nation develops naturally. Although the Barotzish entered into the Barotseland Agreement of 1964 in good faith, the Zambians merely intended to circumvent the Barotzish in order to rob them of their sovereignty. However, Barotzish should now rejoice because the time for domination and subjugation is no more. To those who are conversant with international standards, by declaratory theory, state exists the moment conditions of statehood are fulfilled. This theory is adopted by Institute of International Law. International usage favors this theory. Even the OAU did, or still does, even if they have changed name. State, in a simple term, are a people who are politically organized and prepared to run their own affairs. Now, Barotseland is a state that deserves recognition by fellow African countries and the international community at large. Hence, Zambia must be compelled to acknowledge that they have no right over Barotseland, and the people of Barotseland must realize that under the doctrine of extraterritoriality, together with the doctrine of post-millennium, the effect of our unchallenged declaration is as follows. 1. There shall be no extraterritorial operation by Zambia in Barotseland. 2. Zambia have no extraterritorial rights over Barotseland. 3. By the act of declaration, Zambia has no general power to pass legislation taking effect outside their own territory, or e.g. to punish crimes committed outside their realm, vis-a-vis abroad. There shall be no extraterritorial registration for Barotseland by Zambia to encroach into the internal affairs of Barotseland. 5. As a consequence of the independence of every sovereign authority, a colonizing state will decline to exercise any of the territorial jurisdiction of its courts over the person of any sovereign or ambassador, or over the public property of any state dedicated to the public use, or over the property of any ambassador, even though the sovereign ambassador or property will be within its territory. Having said that, I wish to remind you that there is an English saying that one word is enough for a wise person. And to those who may think that there is rebellion, we wish to reiterate that we have fought for our national rights by diplomatic means and not through violence. Let Zambia be engaged in terrorism if they think they can go unpunished. Precedents. In practice, the various independent acts provided categorically that from the date of independence, all responsibility of the United Kingdom's government for the government of newly independent country should cease, and that no further United Kingdom Act should extend to it as part of its law. The similar situation should apply to us. Nobody should encroach on our liberty. To Kongote.
It appears those planning to secede Western Province from Zambia are holding their meetings in the dark. This is for obvious reasons, knowing that all they are doing may be construed to be seditious under the laws of Zambia. Secretly, they appointed an administrator who has, after his appointment, gone missing, along with his key followers, who include an arts teacher at Tioma Secondary School. The western part of Zambia appears to be peaceful, as though there are no such plans for secession. But government does not take these dark corner activities lightly and has, through the Ministry of Defense and Home Affairs, put up measures to bring to book those planning to create a state within a state. Defense Minister Geoffrey Mwamba, along with his Home Affairs counterpart Edgar Lungu, undertook a visit to 3 districts of Western Province to assess the security situation. The 2 ministers were led to various sites, including an M teacher's house, where the Barotseland group would hold their meetings. 44 of those that were part of the celebration to declare Western Province an independent state have been arrested and are to appear in court on Monday.
It's a very, very serious offense, hosting a flag within a government. You see, you can't declare a government within a government. That is reasonable. And in any case, if he is found, because I believe he's on the run, if he is found, I think we have to make sure that the law deals with him severely. I think we're here in court on Monday. We have the evidence opportunity. But we have to seek the indulgence of the very public prosecution on the matter. As you know, there are various offenses related to this kind of activity. Some of them are accessories before the fact, others during the fact, others after the fact. Some of them were found with placards celebrating the direction of Barotseland administration. Others were found jubilating and celebrating that they have refused. So there are various offenses which are arisen out of all this conduct.
The man appointed to an administrator general is said to be an ex-army official who, along with a teacher, are in hiding and police is hunting for them. One would only hope that the meetings the 2 ministers had held in this part of the country will bring forth results that will bring to an end acts that have a potential of compromising the country's peace and security. Mwapek Mwenda, Movie TV News, Western Province.
Not worried about the ongoing court cases of those facing a charge of treason felony, others have really continued to call for the independence of Barotseland.
We are asking Mr. Saka to give us our country. All we need is our country. We can run our country and develop ourselves on our own. We know our resources. We've got our people. We've got the potential to develop our country. Not Zambia to drop us. First to leave us alone.
Solo kupa kusata hamocho ni kwa muso wa Zambia kikuli balotwe batu baluna nikuti sazoro pili mwana ya bolozi kaluna batu ba bolozi shike ka muso wa Zambia
mutu hai bali abatasika sahai uswanela kusifiwa.
They should bring Kaunda to come and classify the relationship between Zambia and Barotseland. Please, full stop.
Preparations for an event are also underway, where some Westerners are expected to give up their Zambian citizenship. The self-acclaimed Barotse nationals will surrender their Zambian Green National Registration Cards, NRCs, passports, then assume the said new Barotseland citizenship. The Barotse activists say some of them are older than Zambia as a state, hence that gives them an automatic Barotse citizenship. They add that they have a right to belong to any nation, in this case, Barotseland. It remains to be seen how this exercise will be executed, considering the fact that the Zambia police is not hesitant in clamping those perceived to be Linyunga Ndambos. Lloyd Kapsa, Movie TV News, Mongu, Western Province.
The general security situation in the province is very calm. There is nothing alarming. People in the province are going about with their normal day-to-day routine. There's nothing spectacular that is happening, and in terms of security, we are reported quiet. So far, I'm confirming that we have arrested 53 people, who, out of the 53, 46 appeared on the 20th, for the offense of seditious practices and being found in possession of seditious materials. However, on the 3rd of September, they will appear because they are going to be substituted for the indictment to read a treason felony. So in short, they are going to appear for treason felony. The total number, which is now 53, these 46 plus the others, totaling to 53, will appear for a treason felony. This will be on the 3rd of September.
for attempting to separate from the rest of Zambia have finally been set free after the court entered Enole Prosequi. The Lusaka Magistrate Court was characterized with celebrations when scores of Lozi ethnic shed tears of joy as their activists were being released in groups. Enole Prosequi has been entered by the Lusaka Magistrate Court following instructions from the Director of Public Prosecution DPP Chambers, which has led to the discharge of the activists who were detained at Mwembeshi prisons. And Magistrate Alida Chulu cautioned the activists that they may be arrested for the same offense. Former Barotseland Prime Minister and Deputy Minister of Education in President Rupia Bana's government, Clemens Nyinda, who was also set free, opted to remain silent for now. But Muleta Kalaluka and Jacob Mashwelo says their release is victory for Barotseland, stating that they are not afraid to be rearrested. They have charged that the state should train prosecutors who are capable of bringing to court proper cases than arresting 84 people and later discharging them. They have since denounced their citizenship, claiming they are not Zambians but Barotses.
So Zambia and Barotseland are not one. And now in Barotseland we have a government that is established, and the head of government is sworn in. So we are calling onto the international community to intervene in our situation. Otherwise, we are not Zambians, we are Barotzish citizens.
This was purely a political issue, which could not have arisen in courts like this. It's a disgrace. Treason felony is the highest offense so far the Zambian government has. 84 people are put on Enole. What does it signify? It's a disaster. They have got no investigators. So let them educate their people to understand what is international law than doing only a penal code. We are happy. And if they are saying the court said they can rearrest us, if they want, let them go and even now they can rearrest.
They had earlier made several applications to have their matter be heard in the Commonwealth. 30 out of the 84 activists who were in detention were released early this month. Prudence Mulenga, Movie TV News, Lusaka.
The 27th March 2012, it is the day when the Barotseland Agreement came to an end, meaning that Zambia or Northern Rhodesia cannot rule Barotseland. Neither Barotseland can seek anything from Zambian side unless on international treaties. The marriage ended from that day. So the situation, as the question says, what is the political situation in Mongo or the people of Barotseland? It's that we are no longer together with the Zambian government. Now, because of this, that happened, the Zambian government arrested people, continued arresting people. Instead of solving the things nicely, the way the people of Barotseland took it, they did what? They were arresting people. Whoever talks about the issue of Barotseland. This issue does not warrant arrests, no. Does not warrant beating people, no. Only that the one side of the Northern Rhodesia, they know what they are supposed to do. But if I'm saying, if at the signing on the 18th May 1964, people fought to sign the Barotseland Agreement, then I don't think the agreement was going to be signed. Now they should understand that it's them who made the violations, not the Barotseland people. So, as at now, we are no longer together. International law, we are no longer together. So Barotseland is standing on its own, Northern Rhodesia is standing on its own now. The Zambian government, they are just enforcing themselves to rule Barotseland. That's why now the political situation, what it is, we are now taking this international law to reign. The case now is at court. It's going at court, and I say so. In fact, yesterday, the Zambian government, through the Botswana embassy, were served the letter to notify them that, please, this case, Barotseland versus Zambia, your country, you are going to International Court of Justice.
Mr. Kalaluka, there have been talks of secession in Western Zambia. How far has this gone?
In fact, may I say it's not secession, it is separation. Because when you are saying secession, it means Zambia was one land. Now, separation, that we are separating, the agreement has now finished. Now, we are reverting to our old status. Now, the situation is that, we have told our people that we are taking this case according to law. We have engaged the lawyers who should represent the people of Barotseland at International Court of Justice. That's why I'm saying yesterday they were served with a letter, notification letter. 14 days from yesterday, we have to see this case in court. Let the Zambian government answer there at the court saying we have legal capacity to rule Barotseland because of the following. And let the people of Barotseland say Zambia has no legal locus standi to rule us because of the following agreement, following reasons. Now the court will judge. This is what we want. We don't want to beat them.
Which court?
International Court of Justice. That's where the case is going. We don't want to shed blood like the way they did on us. We are reasoning people, very understanding people, educated for that matter. We cannot say so. It's the only Lewanika, King Lewanika. Now, you tell me, which school did King Lewanika go to? There's no school that we have in mind. But he was making people signing treaties. Despite that, we don't know the school that he went for. So you can see where education started. It's an inborn. So we are taking the case there. We don't want to fight with those people now. I know we have got relatives to the other side, but that doesn't matter. What we want is to separate it nicely. However, let me caution this. Even though I'm saying we do not want to fight, I do not control these other organizations. Linyungandambo doesn't control these other organizations. But Linyungandambo has made a step to go ahead with the swearing. Now, the Administrator General Afumba Mombodo is heading Linyungandambo.
Where is he now?
Now, currently he's arrested, he's in prison because of failure to reason with those guys.
When was he arrested?
He was arrested last month. Last month. Yes, December. If anything, I'm not in the date I cannot recall properly.
Where was he arrested?
He was on the way to Livingstone at Kasaya. Kasaya, on the way to Livingstone. He was arrested. Now, for what reasons? Why should the Zambian government have powers over Barotseland? Or why should Barotseland have powers on Zambian government? It's not like that. They are failing to reason. They know the law, they make the law, but they don't understand their own law. We cannot go and then beat them. For what reasons? Why are they insisting to be with us? Is there the people who chased us? They chased us, let them go. They have got the place to stay and we have a place to stay. So what I'm saying here, because of that, those are developments that we have done after the 27th March 2012. We have declared Barotseland back to its status. We have the Administrator General who should run for the period of 3 years in transitional government. Then we have elections. Whoever wants to contest with the Linyungandambo party, let him contest. Now to appoint the Administrator General who sees now will become Prime Minister, meaning the head of state, the Prime Minister the second.
So now, what do you mean now at the moment? Do you mean already government has been established?
Yes, government has been established in Barotseland. Yes. Well, I mean government.
If it is established, how? Where are you getting resources?
We are the resources that now.
And who legalized you?
Well, the legalization is from 27th March 2012 to restore Barotseland the way it was. Total independence. That's illegal. It's illegal. We don't need here the Zambian government to come and say, no, you start doing this. We do not need the Namibian authority to say, go and do this. Zimbabwe, no. Because of this meeting, it's a legal status. It's legalized. Now, where do we get money? As at now, because those Zambians government, they're still their giants. They are intervening with our process of administration. That's why they come to arrest us. Whenever we want to do something, they arrest us. Even when I'm talking just right now, they will get it, they will follow with this one. Now, it's being down in mind. Because this is not the issue where you need to arrest a person. However, in terms of legal resources, let me tell you, Barotseland is a rich nation. If anything, the richest in the world. Why am I saying so? Most of its resources, they still remain intact. Apart from the few here and there, introduced in fact by the Zambian government. For example, we have got national parks in Liua. There are a lot of minerals. Sioma, Pake, there are a lot of minerals. Those people who are in Liua and Sioma, they are doing the mining, we know, we are aware. If they are arguing, they can take me, I will show them. we search that those parks, you will find that there are certain areas of interest.
So who are doing the mining? Is it the
people,
Barotse government?
It's not
or
Barotse
the
government.
Zambian government.
It's not Barotse government. You know, the Zambian government, through the Ritunga, they have agreed those people to be in these parks. Now, what do they do? They go there in the context of managing the animals there. But are they managing the animals definitely? Is it true? The answer is no. It's not true. Whilst the management of animals is just a pretext, it's a mask that they are shooting in. Internally, there is something that they are doing there. If they are refusing, let us go and examine that land, Liuwa and Siom. Now, we have got also resources. I tell you, Barotseland is a fertile land. We grow maize there, cassava and the other foodstuffs. It's plenty of it. We shall have this food for the people. In fact, the Zimbabwe government was taking maize from Kalomo. You see, was taking maize from Kalomo. Where that maize is coming from? It's from Barotseland, the land, the soil of Barotseland. That maize Mr. Mugabe was taking, it was not from India. No, it was from Barotseland. So we're feeding, exporting to the Zimbabwe people.
Beside, apart from the fertile land, do you have anything such as gold, diamond,
yes,
copper?
That's why I was saying Barotseland is a rich nation. The minerals that are found in Zaire, Angola, Namibia, Botswana, it's the same belt, my brother. It's the same belt that you are, those people, the country they enjoy. They have so there. We have oil. Now, for example, just recently, Edgar Lungu, let him dispute, the president of Northern Rhodesia. He went in Nigeria saying, give me money. We read that. I didn't hear them, but we read. Give me money. When I win the elections, you are going to mine. You take oil from Western Province. That's what he said. Now, where did he learn? Edgar Lungu is not a citizen of Barotseland. Edgar Lungu is not even, he is not a relative, any relative. No, he is from Chipata. Maybe he's a Chewa or whatever. I don't know the tribe where he comes from. But he goes to present the wealth of Barotseland to the people of Nigeria. A group of people. Now it means, where did he learn that there's oil? There's oil there, plenty of it. A lot of cash. What we want is the investors to come so that we manage our own affairs.
But there are some other views, the people are even criticizing that the Barotseland, people, they don't want development. And why?
They don't want development, quite all right. 50 years down the line, if you visit any part of Barotseland, you will be very surprised. It is like there are no people who are thinking, there are no people who can manage their affairs. Why? Because the Zambian government had a style of not wanting Barotseland to be on map, even whatever they have. You remember we have got Victoria Falls. That Victoria Falls, do you think, have you ever heard that is for the Barotseland? But they say in Zambia, Victoria Falls, it brings money. Now, it's not the development that we don't want. Now we don't want development from Zambia, from Northern Rhodesia. We want to develop our own land, using our own intelligence now. Not Edgar Lungu to come and decide what to do in Barotseland. No, Moroba is no longer, is not a president. For me, it's not a president of Barotseland. Because we separated. Let them follow the law. Let them understand the law. Let them accept what has happened. The marriage has finished.
You are one of the members who were arrested by Zambia police service. What can you say about this?
You know, this is what I'm saying. Because of bulldozing, they thought arresting me, they were going to make a great. But I told them the truth, and I'm still telling the truth. And I won't stop telling the truth. Barotseland issue is not the issue that you can arrest people. Sit on the table and then discuss. Now, are they refusing that there was no Barotseland? Why, if they are refusing, why did they sign Barotseland Agreement in 1964? Why is it there? Now, the situation that they thought they are arresting me, maybe they might finish the case, but they have worsened the issue because I know the case very well. It pains me to see what is there in Barotseland and the tactics that they are making. So the only thing that, even though they have chased me from employment, I'm not regretting I'm saying so. Because I know one day Barotseland will be like other rich countries. in the world. What we want to do is to follow the law quite all right. And then we achieve what we want. Yes, they have arrested me. What have they benefited? Nothing. Nothing. So what we want now is, in fact, the international community to come and intervene in some of these matters. They are seeing us that we are being arrested one day or the other day. People are in prison and so on, by the same people. You see, we are tired. We are fed up. The day when some people will rise, they will fail to control the situation. Our people have been killed. Blood has shedded. We have got graves. Some we don't know even where they are buried. We have lost the people because of the issue of those arrests. Now, it is not the issue today. I do not know what others they do. Today I'm saying we are peacefully making this international law to assist, but other people might fight because they are aggrieved. They are aggrieved. You can even see the voting pattern the way it was. They come and campaign in an area where they know they are not accepted. See the voting pattern. Northwestern coming all this way, Barotseland, up to the southern, Livingstone and so on. They voted for Akainde, not Lungu. Now the northern, Luapula and going eastern, and the part of Lusaka and so on, they voted for Lungu. Now Akainde, this side, Lungu, that side. Why does it show? Why does it symbolize? Now is it Edgar Lungu going to harmonize the situation in Barotseland to say, no, though you did not vote for me, I'm your president? We don't want him. He's not our president for that matter. The marriage ended on the 27th of March 2012. Period.
Okay. Inonge Wina, the member from Royal Blood, has been appointed as Zambia's first ever vice president. In your view, what do you think she can do for Barotseland agreement?
First of all, Mr. Moderator, congratulations for Madam Inonge to be appointed as vice president. I like it. There's nothing that I can do. I have no control. I thank her for that position. Inonge Wina, her blood is in Barotseland. If she spits saliva on the floor, whether she spits that saliva in State House for Northern Rhodesia, that saliva belongs to Barotseland. Are you seeing the problem now? Well, he is there to earn a living, to fatten her life and the family, but she will never declare, even to God, that she's not a citizen of Barotseland. However, she cannot do anything in terms of this Barotseland agreement. That I'm assuring you, because whether she's there, whether she has been put in that position to harmonize the situation, this situation is too late. Where were they on the 27th day of March 2012 when resolutions were passed? Where were they? No, if they want to harmonize, now Inonge Wina cannot convince us, because we see when she was an MP, the people were killed in her presence. She was there. People were arrested in her presence. She was there. People are tortured every day, running up and down, sleeping in the bush, sleeping near the graves, on the graves just like that. She's there. But she's siding with the people who are beating us. Now what can she do? In fact, she's a vice president for Northern Rhodesia, not Barotseland. She's a foreigner. It's good that Lungu, Edgar Lungu, has appointed a foreigner to be a vice president to their land. It means it's also part of education, my brother. So we, as people of Barotseland, we have got foreigners, our people in Barotseland, in Northern Rhodesia, who can have that position. But there's nothing that she can do. If she wants to assist on the Barotseland issue, let her go to court, because the case is going to court, International Court of Justice. We shall meet there. We shall meet there and then discuss. If they want to assist, not to come to us. She cannot even attempt to come today to hold the Barotseland National Council. That Inonge, even though she's a vice president. Yes, she's a vice president, not for the people, not for the Lozi, but for the people of Northern Rhodesia. However, it is good because we have a representative from the other side. She'll be telling us what is happening there. She's going to tip us. You know, whether you are indigenous here, however allergic you can, royalty you can, you cannot leave your people one day. You can even whisper one thing, please. They are planning to do this, and we're expecting Inonge to be our informer. Inonge will be our informer, whether she likes it or not.
All right. So, who among Zambian presidents so far listened to Barotseland call for independence?
It's a broad question, Mr. Moderator. It's a very big question. But let me start like this, maybe to start from the Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, on the issue of Barotseland Agreement, she's a master dribbler, a murderer for that matter, a murderer for this agreement. Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, if anything, and his government, he never wanted to hear the issue of Barotseland being mentioned. Even the history of Barotseland is not there in books. They don't even learn it in schools. What they are promoting Bemba culture. Bemba, that Bemba people fought for independence. Which independence? Were we colonized ourselves? The answer is no. They were colonized. But Kaunda is a murderer, pure murderer on the issue of Barotseland Agreement 1964. He is still alive. If he wants, let him sue me so that we stand in court. I will tell him all the areas where I went wrong. He never listened for that. The next president was His Excellency, the late Titus Chiluba Pundu Kafupi. I don't know whether I'm mistaken the names.
No,
those names, Kafupi never did anything, Chiluba, on the issue of Barotseland Agreement. Whatever Dr. Kaunda, wherever he stopped, saw him, he worsened it. From Chiluba, we had the late again, His Excellency, the President, Levi Mwanawasa. Levi Mwanawasa, he has a blood for the Lozi. Imagine, see, is a clan, all symbioship. That man somehow belonged to, he never made anything. In his time, I don't think there's anyone who was arrested, if I'm not mistaken. No one was arrested because he was a lawyer. He was understanding this case. I know he was solving it, consultations here and there, solving it a bit by bit. It is his demise, the death reached him. Maybe we would have heard something because I know what was going on. Something was going to be revealed in terms of Barotseland, but his death came quickly. It was unfortunate for the people of Barotseland, but he treated this Barotseland at least on the level that people can negotiate secretly. I know those secret meetings were going on. Now, from Levi Mwanawasa, may he so rest in peace. From Levi Mwanawasa, we had Rupia Bwezani Banda. You can even hear the word Bwezani. Bwezani meaning what? Bring back, not so, Bwezani. Mubweze, eh? I don't know whether it's a Cheo or whether I don't know what tribe. Bwezani is a murderer. He killed our people in Mongu there. His job was to discuss with the Litunga. I want to discuss with the Litunga. You know, the land of Barotseland is not for the royal establishment. Please, I'm saying it. The land of Barotseland is not for the royal establishment or the chiefs. No. It is for the people of Barotseland, including even the chiefs, even the king. These are the people who are owning Barotseland, not the royal establishment. No. Now, Bwezani Banda, I don't know what they discussed with the Litunga, what have you. He allowed, there was no protection from the Litunga to protect his masses. But he came to kill the people. We have got grapes that are there. From there, we have also as a murderer. Let me call him a murderer. He's still alive. If he wants, he can call me. We can discuss, I don't fear. Now, from there, we had the late also His Excellency, Mr. Michael Chirusha Sata. Michael Chirusha Sata, in fact, when he campaigned, when he was still in opposition, he says, I'm the chairman for Nyungandambo. Whenever I win, I'm going to look into the issue of Barotseland. Yes, he showed some certain things, releasing people here and there. But I know at times he wanted to, at a level, to call the people, please come and discuss. But he was not calling the rightful people. This is what I'm saying. The Nyungandamo people are not called. You know, to call the people, you need to call the stakeholders who are doing the job. I know it is the death that is there. He was going to do something because we're going to pressurize on him. I, coming from prison, I said clearly without fear or favor that let us meet and discuss this issue to solve the legal policy that they were trying to bring in court. Sata was still there, he was still listening. I was released and with the 83 others on nolle prosequi. Meaning, he had tolerance to listen, but because he was surrounded by certain critics who said, do not do that. I remember at one time he said, it's even better to rule a small nation than ruling a big nation with problems. That's the voice of Mr. Satan. Meaning he was on the way to consider the issue of Barotseland, but he died. Now, we have Edgar Lungu. Edgar Lungu is a murderer. I'm saying so because when the people of Barotseland were killed, he was the Minister of Home Affairs. Who would have commanded? Who was in charge of that police? Who would have commanded the police not to do that? He's a lawyer at the same time. He's a lawyer. But he failed to reason with the law that he has learned. They went ahead as a government to take the people there, go and kill them. That was bad. Now today is a president. Well, he's a president at the time when Barotseland is no longer in line with the Northern Rhodesia, commonly known as Zambia. To me, it's not my president. He's a president for that part. And because we are, if he wants to rule Barotseland, let him go to court. We shall meet there. Whoever will meet with us, we shall meet to discuss this issue fully in court.
So how many people living in Barotseland at the moment, and if you can even tell us the boundary of the land, Barotse?
The population, I wouldn't know very well, but it should be 6 million something. I wouldn't know exactly. May I not cheat on that part? 6.2 or something. Anyway, we shall come out, we shall know later.
Million.
Something like that. Now, in terms of the boundary, Mr. Moderator, you know Litunga was a fighter, a conqueror. Wherever he went, the entire southern province, going up to Rwangwa, going part of central, Copper Belt, going all this way, Litunga conquered. He was a fighter. That is the boundary. Now, we have also another boundary which was made in between this land that I've mentioned. From the entire Livingstone, Kalomo, going up to Mumbwa, Kabompo, up to Zambezi, going this way. It's Barotseland. So, we have two boundaries. But in court, we are claiming the boundary for Lewanika. We do not want to sell the land for Lewanika. Lewanika never gave instruction to sell his land upon his death. We have no that consensus. We want to see where is the land for Lewanika. Then we shall know where it is. It's called Barotseland. Yes. However, it is very saddening, as we are fighting for these issues, the land of Barotseland. I'm disappointed, if ever that is really true. I'm really disappointed, deeply disappointed on the issue of Namibian government. Namibian government, if anything, I hear it has sent the soldiers into Zambian government to assist, I don't know, to assist in whatever. Now, the Namibian government, when they were fighting for independence, they were using the land of Barotseland. The people, the citizens of Barotseland, died because of the independence of Namibia. The people who fought in the struggle of Namibia under SWAPO, I know there are two parties which merged, and they discussed in Barotseland there, not in here. They discussed there. This party ran away, they ran away because of the whites. Now when they went there, they said, you people, we are from the same area, we are fighting, why can't we merge? That's how SWAPO came about. I was at school that time when they were fighting. I was seeing the jets. They killed even my relative. My relative was killed by the whites because of the independence of Namibia. But now they can send soldiers because they think Zambia assisted them in their independence. Which Zambia? Who died in the Northern Rhodesia because of the independence of Namibia? The people died, therefore, from Barotseland. We have the bones, graves of Namibian people in Barotseland. Even today, I can show you these are the graves of the people who fought for the struggle of independence. Today I hear the soldier. You know, whatever is happening in secret, we have our intelligence, we know. We know very well. When I go to Namibia, I talk to Namibia, I'll find a person who understands laws. When they come, we shall know. People never, you see, the blood is thicker than water. That's what people say, blood is thicker than water. Similarly, those people whose graves, they should have at least, I'm not saying they are our enemies, Namibia, no, they are not our enemies. But let them stop what we are seeing there. Because the people of Barotseland, they are not blind, they are not deaf, they are seeing. One day we shall need assistance from Namibia. The Namibia people will find assistance from ourselves as Barotseland, because the independence is coming. There is no country in the world that fought for independence and it has failed to achieve independence. Tell me which country.
Three Barotseland National Youth League standing charged with an offense of publication of false news with intent to cause alarm and fear have appeared before Kaoma Magistrate Court for trial. Appearing before Mongo Resident Magistrate Julius Malata sitting in as Kaoma Magistrate, Nayoto Mwenda 32, Squivelo Wasilota 33, and Boris Mziba 36 applied that the matter not proceed to trial because the court did not have the power to preside over it. The three argued that the alleged offense was committed in Barotseland, where the Zambian government does not have jurisdiction. The trio also applied that the matter be transferred to a Commonwealth court because it involves two sovereign states of Barotseland and Zambia. They add that it is a violation of international law for Zambia to be a complainant and prosecutor at the same time in the case. In passing ruling, Magistrate Malata said that the Zambian courts had jurisdiction to preside over cases committed within its boundaries, whether by Zambians or non-Zambians. He advised the trio to seek the transfer through other means and not through his court. Meanwhile, State Prosecutor Susan Makalombe called State Witness Detective Inspector Maurice Siampule to testify in the matter. Siampule told the court that when he was making the arrest for the three, he had in his possession evidence that the trio distributed flyers suggesting that one Clement Wanyasinda together with Zambian government were planning a military coup against the legitimate Royal Barotseland Government. The matter has been adjourned to April 8, 2014 for continued trial. The trio remains in custody after being denied bail. Immediately after the court session, the Nyungandambo supporters who were clad in blue t-shirts printed Barotseland Kinaha, meaning Barotseland is a nation, sang solidarity songs and denounced government in front of the court. Lloyd Kapsa, Movie TV News, Kaoma, Western Province.
The relationship between Zambia and Royal Barotseland gets sour every day as the case involving Boris Mziba 36, Nayoto Mwenda 33, and Squivelo Wasilota 31, all the executive members of Barotseland National Youth League, a youth wing liberation movement, which was scheduled to take place today, 29th April 2014, has once again been adjourned to the 12th of May 2014 for mention and 20th of May 2014 for possible continuation of trial. This is due to non-availability of the magistrate, Mr. Malata, who is handling the case. But Kaoma resident magistrate Mwala adjourned the case. The trio who were arrested on the 26th of January 2014 are charged with the offense of publication of false news with intent to alarm and cause fear contrary to the laws of Zambia. After they were arrested by the Zambian government for having written a letter to Mr. Clement Wanyasinda, leader of one of the liberation movements in Barotseland, who they alleged was funded by the Zambian government to frustrate the efforts being made for the independence of Barotseland. However, they have refused to be tried by any Zambian court system, as they are not Zambians but Barotzish citizens, who wrote a personal letter to another Barotzish citizen, and also that the alleged offense, if any, was not committed in Zambia but in Barotseland beyond Zambia's jurisdiction, as Barotseland is now a separate state with her own government from that of the country of Zambia. The trio argued in the previous court sessions that Zambia cannot be a complainant and a judge at the same time, as this is contravening natural justice. They also applied for bail under the International Bill of Human Rights, which was denied by Magistrate Malata, saying his court does not recognize international instruments and that he is only answerable to the Zambian constitution. Their case has now been adjourned for the 7th time already over reasons such as sitting magistrate not turning up for court session in what many Barotseland nationals consider as a deliberate ploy to simply torture and frustrate the trio. The trio told the court that they have been in detention for over 90 days now, which is a violation of fundamental human rights contrary to the Human Rights Charter. They demanded to be released because Zambia cannot try them. Meanwhile, supporters stand in numbers at the court wearing t-shirts displaying the message Barotseland Kinaha, which translates as Barotseland is a country, to expose more people to information that was kept out of public view with the purpose to suppress Malos so that they behave like serfs. The general public that came to attend the court proceedings are saying that Zambia is fighting a losing battle because they cannot suppress people forever, and time is now when Zambia and Barotseland have separated. This message was quite strong in almost all those we talked with. Zambia has since 1965 been arresting Barotseland nationals on charges related to the abrogated 1964 Barotseland Agreement or matters related to the people of Barotseland's demand for self-determination. However, no single person has ever been tried and convicted. Last year, 84 Barotseland independence activists were arrested for treason, which is punishable by death under Zambian laws. But after 3 to 4 months of imprisonment without trial, they were released when it became clear that proceeding to trial would expose Zambia's abrogation of the agreement, and that their continued incarceration was attracting international attention to the peaceful demands of the people of Barotseland. As we stand here, Royal Barotseland has put in place the executive and the legislature body, and only remaining with the judiciary board, which will soon be announced, and the government will completely take control over Royal Barotseland. An international petition aimed at urging President Michael Sata of Zambia to unconditionally release the 3 BNLY officials has since been started on avaz.org, the world's largest and most effective online campaign website for change, and the international community can participate by signing the petition too. The Barotseland National Youth League is calling on the international community to intervene on the matter of Barotseland and Zambia. After the court adjournment, the Barotse Nationals stood at the court premises and sang the Barotseland National Anthem, and after that, they walked all the way to Kaoma Central Township singing patriotic songs.
Barotse freedom activists have once again come out to face the media after being silent for over 4 months. This time around, the Barotse Imilemas, a youth pressure group under the Barotse National Freedom Alliance, have complained over accusations that, together with their leader, Clemency Yinda, are planning to sabotage the forthcoming Zambian presidential by-election. The youths are also accused of planning to assassinate senior police officers and top government officials in Western Province. It is also alleged that the youths are planning to set ablaze government infrastructure. In the morning of November 24, 2014, the youths tried to meet Provincial Minister Rachel Siamunene to petition the police over the accusations, but did not meet him as he is out of office.
We are a peaceful people. We are a peaceful people. We want to assure everybody living in Barotseland. We are not here for violence, and we are not going to do it. The little infrastructure that we have in Barotseland is to make sure that we have to ensure that we protect them, not to destroy them. And there won't be any violence of any kind. Unless maybe the security wings will have any hidden agenda purporting violence themselves. Otherwise, for the youths in Barotseland, all what we need is peace.
Lutang Snonge is BNFA National Chairperson.
The Barotse National Council, Article number 8, they stated that Barotseland has reverted back to its original status, meaning now it's a sovereign state, which is supposed to have its own mandatory status that they are supposed, even the Zambian people are supposed to respect. It's not somewhere to state whether Zambia should conduct their election here, but the people of Barotseland know their status. They are already a country, and we are just waiting for the final judgment that will come from Benju.
The struggle for Western Province between the Zambian government and the Barotse activists continues. Lloyd Kapsa, Move TV News, Mongu, Western Province.
Njekwasinyinda, a Mongol resident, is struggling for survival in Mongol's Lewanika General Hospital after a beating from the police. It is alleged that the 32-year-old was beaten after he was found urinating on a tire of a police vehicle. Sinyinda had to undergo an emergency surgery on his private parts. For Mangambela, Clement Sinyinda, who is the father to the victim, is saddened by the incident and describes the act as a violation of human rights by the Zambia police.
I would like to condemn in the strongest terms the brutality and the violation of human rights by Zambia police. More so, starting from January 14th, 2011 up to today, the people of Barotseland have been subjected to severe violation of human rights by the police. As you can see, my boy, my son, has been injured, and you can see that he is injured on the head, even the private parts. It is alleged that he was beaten up by the police, and the very police officers that were beating him said they were beating him because he is a son to Sinyinda, whose family is so proud. I don't know what pride they are talking about. We as a family are not proud. But of course we know that we are in the struggle. We are the ones that are leading the struggle for the emancipation of Barotseland. And for us, that is pride. And I can just appeal to the Zambia police, to the Zambian government, that no amount of intimidation will end the issue of Barotseland. The only thing that can happen is to engage us in a true dialogue.
The victim's mother is equally unhappy with the police.
I'm actually hurt by what the police have done to my son. The police themselves who did this are criminals, and I don't know how criminals can deal with other criminals. It's very disgusting. They are supposed to protect the citizens. Now they are brutalizing the citizens. It's shameful.
Western Province Police Commissioner Charles Lungu says the police are investigating the matter.
Yeah, it is true that on Saturday morning we received a report to the effect that an officer had been assaulted. Later it came to our attention that actually it was actually almost a fight, like a fracas, between the victim and an officer. So what we have done is that we have instituted investigations to try and establish circumstances under which the fight took place. As you may be aware, the victim is hospitalized, and also the officer whom he was fighting with is also claiming to be unwell. So a team has been constituted to investigate and then we shall inform you accordingly. What will happen is that depending on the recommendations that will be given by the team that has been constituted, anyone found wanting will be arrested. So that is the way forward over this matter.
Lloyd Kapsamov TV News, Mongu, Western Province. The 23-year-old Munyinda Munkayumbwa remains in custody after his bid for bail was rejected. The 23-year-old was arrested on April 21, 2017 on suspicion that he had set Sulu local court on fire. After staying 8 days in police custody, Munyinda was officially charged with arson, a charge which was later changed to seditious practices on May 2, 2017. This is in relation to Facebook postings on his page. In his court appearance on May 17, 2017, before Resident Magistrate Julius Malada, Munyinda's matter could not proceed because the case is awaiting instructions from the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. His case has been adjourned to May 31st, 2017. Barotse Imilema leader Johnson Sinonge is calling on the office of the DPP to address the delay in Munyinda's matter.
I know he has a busy schedule, but considering the fact that Munyinda has overstayed, I would like him to give us a direction, because so far it's almost 1 month, nothing has been done. And for moreover, Munyinda, in the first 8 days he's been in custody, he was charged with the arson. Later on, it was changed. They say they are still waiting for a DPP to give us direction, up to date, and we are so worried. We are appealing to the DPP for justice sake to do it as quickly as possible so that Munyinda's case could be heard.
The Nyungandambo's National Youth League Secretary, Chris Kalaluka, says despite the arrest of Barotse nationals, the independence of Barotseland is inevitable.
Our rights are inalienable. No one can partition our rights. These are our God-given rights, whether Zambia likes it or not. The issue of Barotseland is now beyond Zambia, and it's entirely dependent upon our decision. And we already have decided to revert Barotseland to have original status, the pre-independence status of a sovereign kingdom. And I don't see any reason as to why the continuity of illegal treatment, inhuman treatment by the Zambian authorities to be advanced in this style. No, we are not even worried by this treatment, because whether they like it or not, freedom and total independence is inevitable.
This is the second time that Munyinda is facing the courts. His first arrest was in 2012.
Press statement today, this afternoon, is as a result of the release of inmates through presidential amnesty to commemorate the 63rd birthday of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu, who is also Commander-in-Chief. And as you all know, today is celebrating his birthday. And therefore, to commemorate his 63rd birthday, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Edgar Chagwalungu, like I said, who is also the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, as today, the 11th of November 2019, exercised his prerogative of mercy on 4 inmates based in various correctional centers in Central, Wapula, and Lusaka regions. The four names are as follows. 1, Derrick Sinjera. 2, Retired Lieutenant General Christopher Singogo. 3, Mr. Maxwell Mwale. And 4, Mr. Field Mwewa, who is also Chief Mulongwe of Sanfe District in Luapula Province. The exercise of the prerogative of mercy by His Excellency the President is in accordance with Article 97 of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia, which provides for the presidential pardon and substitution of severe punishments imposed on convicted persons. The Ministry of Home Affairs, staff of the Zambia Correctional Service, and inmates of the correction facilities throughout the country are grateful to His Excellency the President for exercising the prerogative of mercy at the time when the correctional facilities are extremely congested. The few released today will help reduce the congestion and encourage other inmates to behave better in anticipation of being pardoned someday. The staff of the Zambia Correctional Service is confident that the pardoned persons have been rehabilitated and are ready to reintegrate in society. Successful integration of former inmates, however, largely depends on the support of members of the immediate families and communities of the former inmates. We accordingly call upon the families of the pardoned inmates and members of the public at large to support the former inmates by not discriminating against them. This is essential to give the pardoned a second chance to find their feet as law-abiding citizens. And I think this gesture of love by His Excellency as he celebrates his birthday is worth emulating by many of us as citizens of this beloved country. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen.
Good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
I just wanted some form of clarity. I've been monitoring social media and other media networks just on the statements that you've issued. Another one came from State House that amongst the people that have been pardoned includes one Kafumba Mumbudu of the Barotse Royal Establishment. I noticed he's not amongst the four.
The list I've given is the final official list, and I'm sure you are aware. Over the years you have come here yourself as a senior journalist. Any pardons are released in this manner, just like I've just done. That's the official list that you should take. It's signed by me here. So if there was another statement, maybe it's overtaken by this one that I've released.
The Barotse Royal Establishment BRI says it has received protest messages from various quarters of Barotseland regarding the ruling by Deputy Speaker of National Assembly Catherine Namugala that there is no Barotseland in Zambia. Ngambela of Barotseland Mukela Manyando also says the people of Barotseland have never accepted the change of name of Barotseland to Western Province because it was done undemocratically. The Ngambela addressed the media in Limulunga, indicating that as BRI, it is handling the matter maturely despite the remark being offensive and inflammatory.
On behalf of the Barotse Royal Establishment, BRE, and the people of Barotseland, I would like to state that the ruling in Parliament by Deputy Speaker Honorable Catherine Namgala, MP, that there is no place called Barotseland in Zambia has shocked all level-headed people in Barotseland and Zambia. The ruling was not only insulting and an affront to all the people that hail from Barotseland, but also petrified and angered the people because it is insensitive and provocative. The BRE has received and continues to receive countless protest messages, comments, and representations from all over Barotseland, Zambia, and the diaspora, representing all ethnic groupings comprised in the Barotse people, expressing their anger and displeasure at the incendiary nature of the ruling, banning the use of the name Barotseland in Parliament. The ban has even been extended to government official communications, verbal or written. It is unfortunate that the Honorable Namgala would make such a political blunder without due consideration of the impact and the injury her statement would cause to the people of Barotseland, who are passionately attached to their land, culture, and identity. I wish to inform Honorable Namgala and all those still in doubt that Barotseland, or Bulozi as we call it ourselves, has been in existence for hundreds of years and is much older than Zambia. We, the people of Barotseland, possess the inalienable right to call our land by the name of our choice.
Statement by Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Catherine Namgala, that there is no Barotseland in Zambia has continued to receive sharp reactions from Barotseland activists. The Barotse National Freedom Alliance has since urged members of parliament from Western Province to leave parliament and go back home because they have no place to represent. And now BNFA Secretary General Muya Katukula indicates that the MPs from Western Province were sent by the people of Barotseland who no longer subscribe to Zambia, hence losing their relevance. Details in this report.
The ruling by the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of Zambia, Catherine Namgala, that there is no place in Zambia known as Barotseland, has continued to receive reactions from Barotse activists. The latest group to come out to register its displeasure against the non-existence of Barotseland statement is Linyunga Ndambo.
I would like to inform the people of Barotseland and all the people wherever they are that Linyunga Ndambo is still very much alive. We are not dead. We are still there. We are just waiting to see what's happening. I want to tell the people to hold on to what we had resolved at the BNC resolutions. We had told everybody and Zambians that we want to be independent. We want to break away from Zambia. But Zambia is still clinging on to us. And again, surprising. Recently, we hear that Zambia is saying that the name Barotseland should never be used. That's madness, total madness. Because Barotseland is a country which had existed long before Northern Rhodesia, long before Zambia, for so many years. Zambia was just born in 1964. Some of us are even older than Zambia. How can Zambia now say Barotseland should not be used as a name? That's madness. People of Barotseland should call themselves as Barotse nationals. The Itunga is there. We want to hear what it's going to say about this change in Zambia.
The Barotse National Freedom Alliance, BNFA, says the ruling by the Deputy Speaker is just a confirmation of the abrogation of the Barotseland Agreement of 1964 by the Zambian government, which the BNFA welcomes wholeheartedly.
We ask our brothers and sisters in the diaspora of Zambia to come back home, especially those of our brothers and sisters who are still in the Zambian parliament. Let them come back. That parliament is not their institution. They should just come back. We reorganize our state institutions and forge ahead. Zambia has rejected us. The name Barotseland is our identity. We cannot do away with our identity. Deputy Speaker of Zambia's Parliament has just reaffirmed our long stand that Barotseland is separate from Zambia. The Barotseland Agreement of 1964 was abrogated in 1969, and from that time, Zambia rejected us. In 2012, at the Barotse National Council, we accepted their rejection. What we are just wondering is why they still insist on governing us. We are a very peaceful people. We do not want violence. That's why we have tolerated them. Now that they have confirmed that we are separate from them, it's better they take away their governance institutions.
The last week ruling that there is no place in Zambia known as Barotseland, hence that it must not be used in parliament, has brought a new wave of reactions from those seeking separation of Barotseland from Zambia. Lloyd Kapsa, Prime TV News, Mongu.
I am privileged to read the resolutions of the district quotas, which met today, the 8th of February 2016, in the Sasi Kalokuta. This is related to the issue which is before the courts of Zambia, in which some members of the public who are lodges have actually sued the Litunga. The quotas which met today are intrigued by the level of disrespect which have been exhibited by Mrs. Naviwa Mikendu, Litia Charles Mutemwa, Irukena Mukubesa, and Liswaniso Mpisho, of deciding to take up a case against the Litunga in the courts of Zambia. Barotseland is a country which is independent. It has its own traditional governance system. And what has happened has never happened in the lifetime of this country. Barotseland is much older than Zambia and therefore very experienced in governance matters. The resolutions read as follows. 1. The Litunga shall not be allowed to be dragged in front of any judge, or will not be subjected to a court process. Any child of Barotseland or anybody who is a resident of Barotseland has a right to take his complaint before the Kuta Yaminyolui. So what has happened by this gentleman is extremely strange. The district quotas have looked at the points mentioned in the affidavit by Mrs. Mikendu and et al., alleging that they had gone around the entire country of Barotseland, in which they allege that they garnered 90% of the population to be supporting them As a total lie, because they have not been seen in any of the districts. Nabiwa Mikendu, who was actually a minister for Barotseland, and at one time he was also a district commissioner for Kalabo district, alleges that the Litunga has not done is a stumbling block to development. We note that during his term, he has not done anything tangible that can be said has been achieved. Mr. Mpisho Liswaniso and his friend Nabiwa Mikendu were once indunas in the governance system of Barotseland, and they know very well the traditional channels of complaining. In relation to Article 165 and 166 of the Constitution of Zambia, which they have quoted in their affidavit, as giving them power to drag the Litunga to court, we wish to state that this does not concern Barotseland, because Barotseland had refused to participate in the constitution making of Zambia. Therefore, those two articles will not affect us. The district quotas of Barotseland are unanimous and to support its government, that is the Mulonga and Kaongolo Kanyambe. Will do everything to support and protect. Finally, we warn the government of Zambia not to be involved in the governance system of Barotseland.
The sad indelible marks of January 14, 2011 continue to live in the lives of many families of Western Province. Exactly 3 years ago, on this day, some people lost their lives while others were left with scars they will live with for the rest of their lives. Among those that were lucky to have their lives spared is 14-year-old Nyambechilemo of Imwiko compound of Mongu. As innocent as he was, Nyambe was caught up in the fracas between Nyungandambo and the Zambia police during the January 14, 2011 Mongu riots. He was shot in the stomach by suspected Zambia police officers. Up to date, Nyambe is still nursing bullet wounds that seem to deprive him the chance to be a normal boy. Lewis Njala is Nyambe's grandfather, and on this day, he wishes to remind the President of Zambia, Michael Sata, to look at the plight of January 14 victims, as he promised in Mongu during his campaign for the 2011 general election.
Lokomokira hulu kubosata bene baipapatire kuli bona bakakona kutusaba bane baholofizi kali Nyungandambo nibali kungera mu buso hakuna ne bali mu batusize kandi jwale haba saite muni kwa mulaho kone kubazwa kinyi haba kuzize chwalo chwale muso batune basali berezi sichaba kuli babone maikutu abo na o president bosata kono kipeto bali kukuza fero na chwalo chwele kandi babene baholofalirwe baba mukili ndiyala abana bashemi babona baba mu baholofalire abana baba batusa kono bali kufumane ku bali kenera kwa president akuna ne baba batusize ne bali mu chwele kandi ruba polisi buli kandi bazama era kaifa.
Nyambe was among the January 14 victims that were lined up during President Michael Sata's 2011 campaign rally at Mongu's Blue Gum grounds. Today, Nyambe appeals to the Republican president to look at his welfare.
Ana ukupatwa na president hivi. Kwani zifanya mwezi magezi. Okuku abasebezi ndata kunako basebeza. Kilo wakafa. Afusali yemuno binezi fali malala seni wakukula kulani zifa sunali maoperation ya mabe akesali rumo nalale sasa kupa kwa president walibonele kwa tena.
Nyambe might be lucky to have his life today, but this is not enough. He deserves a decent and normal life as he grows up. Lloyd Kapsa, Move TV News, Mongu, Western Province.
in 1965, the Kaunda regime destroyed the Katengo Legislative Council. And that situation created a halo because the Litunga is head of state. But for him to govern, he needs a government. And the institution that provided his government was the National Council that was put in place in 1963. That was dismembered by Mr. Kaunda. And that halo, and in that halo, he put in, you know, what is today referred to as the BRE. The BRE is a scarecrow tactic. It's not an institution of the people, as it stands.
As you may be aware, our system of governance is an all-embracing bottom-up.
On March 28, 2014, 3 international lawyers representing the Barotse National Freedom Alliance, BNFA, wrote to the Zambian Republican President Michael Sata, challenging him to sign a permanent court of arbitration submission agreement. 10 days later, Justice Minister Winter Kabimba replied to the letter, citing that the lawyers later did not identify the clients they represent, whether they constitute natural persons or corporate entity, in view of Zambia being a unitary state under the current constitution. But in the latest response, the international lawyer says the people they are representing have got no hidden identities, stating that the Barotseland National Freedom Alliance is recognized as a legitimate umbrella organization of all activist groups of Barotseland. They have further challenged the president to sign in order to commence the PC arbitration process if Zambia has nothing to fear in the Barotseland matter. The lawyers indicate that submission to arbitration will give Zambia an opportunity to be vindicated over the abrogation of the Barotseland Agreement of 1964. The Zambian government has since been given May 28, 2014 to sign the arbitration agreement. As it stands, the struggle and impasse of Barotseland continues. Mike Mubanga, Movie TV News, Mongu, Western Province.
University Challenge. Asking the questions, Jeremy Paxman.
Hello, the quarter-final round continues, but by the end of tonight's match, we'll know the first of the 4 teams through to the semi-final matches in a few weeks' time. Both teams will know that not all hope is lost for the losers, though, because they'll get a final chance to stay in contention. Now, the team from Durham University are here, having seen off the University of Strathclyde in round 1, winning by a whopping 360 points to 55. Keble College Oxford in round 2 were dispatched by 200 points to 100. Their first quarter-final victory was at the expense of Glasgow University, when they scored 170 points to 110. With an accumulated total of 730, therefore, and an average age of 20, let's meet the Durham team again. Now, the team from Edinburgh University trounced Sydney Sussex College Cambridge in round 1 by 210 points to 75, and then in round 2 they beat UCL by a margin of only 20 points, 180 to 160. Their first quarter-final victory was over Manchester University with 170 points to 130, so their accumulated score is 560. With an average age of 23, let's meet them again. On the buzzers, here's your first starter for 10. Which work of 1988 includes chapters entitled The Arrow of Time and The Expanding Universe? While it concerns physical science, the only equation...
Edinburgh Fitzjames.
A brief history of time?
Correct, yes. A set of bonuses this time on separatist movements, Durham. Partly Arabic-speaking, the province of Khuzestan is in which country? Low-level separatist movements have flared up sporadically there since the early 20th century.
Iran?
Correct. Barotseland is a long-standing monarchy and former British protectorate that has sought recognition as an independent state. It occupies the west of which landlocked country?
That was Barotse. Any ideas?
Landlocked to be one of the southern countries.
Should we say Malawi? So, Zimbabwe? Yeah, sorry. Zimbabwe?
No, it's its neighbour, Zambia. Congratulations, Durham. You were on terrific form tonight. We should look forward to seeing you in the first of the semi-finals that we know about. I hope you can join us next time for another quarter-final match. But until then, it's goodbye from Edinburgh University.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Durham University.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.
10 countries you didn't know existed. Number 10. The Republic of Lakota. Most people wouldn't believe it if you said there is a country the size of Syria in the middle of the United States of America. But the inhabitants of the Republic of Lakota would argue that there is. Stretching over 1,600 kilometers, Lakota is the homeland of the Lakota Sioux, an ancient tribe who lived there long before the European colonial settlers. In 1868, the American government signed the Treaty of Laramie, giving the Lakota Sioux the rights to the land. However, in the 1870s, the government apparently forgot this promise, when they allowed thousands of miners to swarm to the land with the promise of gold. Today, the Lakota still consider themselves an independent state, and they are fighting for international recognition. Number 9. Transnistria. Transnistria has its own president, parliament, currency, and army. It even won a war of independence in 1992, yet some people still argue that it's part of Moldova. In 1990, Moldova broke away from the USSR. This was a decision that Transnistria, a thin strip of land on the border of Moldova and Ukraine, didn't agree with. Transnistria, with its population of more than 500,000, still felt a strong allegiance to Russia. They wished to declare themselves a socialist republic and remain part of the USSR, and so they fought a war to achieve this. But by the time a ceasefire was reached and Transnistria was able to make steps towards its goal, the Soviet Union had crumbled. This threw Transnistria into disarray, and their official status as a country remained unresolved. Number 8. Barotseland. Located between Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Angola, Barotseland is home to a unified group of diverse tribes. Historically, the region used to be an independent nation, but it was incorporated into Zambia in 1964. Its current claim for independence comes from the idea that it was incorporated into Zambia under false pretenses, as the 1964 treaty between the two peoples had promised autonomy to Barotseland that it did not receive. Instead, Barotseland was just treated like any other province. After years of rising tensions, the Barotseland National Council retaliated by declaring its independence from Zambia in March 2012. If it were to become internationally recognized, this would make Barotseland the world's youngest nation-state. Number 7. Chinland. Chinland, whose territories originally included parts of Myanmar, Bangladesh and India, is home to around 1.5 million people. They consist of 6 major unique ethnic groups who speak a total of 20 languages. When the British Empire began to decline during the 1940s, Chinland was unofficially swallowed up into what was then called Burma. In March 1988, the Chin National Front was established. This was in reaction to the fact that, in its current state, the Chin people didn't have any exclusive rights, despite having their own leaders and national day. Chin nationalists believe that thanks to their rich history, distinct culture and independent political system, they are a country in their own right. But the UN continues to consider them as part of former Burma, Myanmar. Number 6. Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic. Located in Western Sahara in Africa, the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, also known as the Saharan Arab Democratic Republic, declared independence in 1976. Almost a third of the countries in the UN recognize the state, but the rest still consider it part of Morocco. For almost a century, the region had been a Spanish colony until Spain withdrew in 1976 and things just got a little complicated. Morocco, Mauritania, and the indigenous inhabitants of Western Sahara all lay claim to the territory, leading to a bitter conflict. In 1979, Mauritania abandoned its claim, but Morocco remains stubborn. It has repeatedly postponed referenda on the topic, and the UN's efforts to resolve the conflict have proved inconclusive. Number 5. Abkhazia. You would think that having a distinct ethnic population, historically defined boundaries, a separate military, a government, a national bank, and its own passports would be enough for a region to gain country status. But this isn't the case for Abkhazia. At the beginning of the 11th century, Abkhazia was very much its own country, only to then be subsumed into Georgia, and then, centuries later, the USSR. When the USSR collapsed in 1991, things got a bit confusing. Abkhazia declared a return to their medieval borders, winning a war of independence against Georgia in 1993. Surprisingly, despite this victory, all but 4 members of the UN still refused to recognize Abkhazia as anything other than a province of Georgia. Number 4. Nagorno-Karabakh Republic. Nagorno-Karabakh is yet another region whose country status has been utterly complicated by the messy dissolution of the Soviet Union. Following the 1991 collapse of the USSR, Nagorno-Karabakh became the central focus of a war between Azerbaijan, the country that completely surrounds it, and the region's ethnic Armenian majority. A truce was signed in 1994, putting temporary control of the region, known to its inhabitants as Artsakh, into the hands of the ethnic Armenians. Now, despite Nagorno-Karabakh having its own government, military, and even a legal constitution, no other country in the world recognizes its legitimacy. This is because negotiations have failed to produce a permanent peace agreement that the UN could recognize. Number 3. Balochistan. A vast province that makes up 44% of Pakistan, Balochistan is a region that has been clouded by turmoil for well over half a century. Baloch nationalists argue that the province is actually an independent nation, even celebrating August the 11th, 1947 as their Independence Day. They assert that on this day, towards the end of British rule in Pakistan, the British gave Balochistan autonomy, only for Pakistan to overturn this decision, illegally annexing the region less than a year later. Since then, the Pakistani government has used military force to quell independence uprisings in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. Number 2. South Ossetia. In 2006, the people of South Ossetia in Georgia held a referendum that demonstrated its people's desire to become an independent nation. The small but proud population of 50,000 people have their own language and are ethnically closer to Russia's Ossetians than their fellow Georgians. Since then, South Ossetia has been effectively independent, with their own government and president, Leonid Tibilov. Sadly, the referendum result and subsequent South Ossetian Declaration of Independence went unrecognized by the international community, with the exception of Russia. 2 years later, Georgia sent tanks into the country to stop the growing unrest with force, only serving to aggravate the situation further and increase the tensions between the Georgian and South Ossetian governments. Number 1. The Sovereign Military Order of Malta. Unlike many of the other countries on this list, the Sovereign Military Order of Malta has notable recognition from other countries around the world. It has strong political relations with 105 countries and diplomatic relations with another 6. It even has permanent observer status at the United Nations. Yet, the utterly bizarre thing is, this country has absolutely no physical territory, nor does it claim any. Basically, what happened is that Malta used to be occupied and owned by an order of Catholic knights. When Napoleon invaded Malta in 1798, this order was forced to relocate to Italy, where Catholic nations still continued to recognize them as a legitimate nation. And this has continued to this day, despite the order now only having control of 2 buildings in Rome.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. We really cannot thank you enough. And if you enjoyed it, why don't you check out 10 Weird Wonders of the World. It's playing on screen now, and there's a link in the description. So go and check that out. And as always, thank you for watching. Peace.
What is the significance of Zambia's 53rd independence anniversary? And what is the Zambian government's position on Barotse National Freedom Alliance's call for autonomy? Why was South Africa's struggle for freedom of particular importance to the people of Zambia? And why is Zambia not using its geographical location to help advance the regional industrialization strategy? What time is it? It's question time. Welcome to the show. My name is Barotse. Today marks 53 years since Zambia gained independence from Britain in 1964. The Southern African country's freedom was a ray of hope to neighboring countries, which were also subjected to colonial dominance at the time. The celebrations come in the wake of calls for autonomy by the Barotse National Freedom Alliance. The alliance is demanding power they allege successive Zambian regimes stole from them. The festivities happen in a week of particular importance to South Africa. The country is celebrating the life of former president of the ANC, Oliver Reginald Tambo. Recently, President Jacob Zuma launched the OR Tambo Heritage Site House in Charleston in Lusaka, where Tambo spent the better part of his exile years there. Analysts are calling on Zambia to translate its years of freedom into economic emancipation. This, they say, could help towards turning intra-regional trade into a reality. We are live, therefore you can call us and air your views on 089-110-4210. Our international number +2789110-4210, or tweet us your comments. Our Twitter handle @QuestionTime24. My guest today, Aisha Kaji. She is a political analyst, and joining us from our Hatfield studios is the High Commissioner of Zambia to South Africa, His Excellency Emmanuel Mwamba. Let me welcome you both. And Your Excellency, welcome to the show as well. Congratulations on the 53rd anniversary. But I want us to start on another note. As we wrap, brother, let me just quickly, with the High Commissioner. Your President, High Commissioner, says in his statement last night that when he addresses the issue of national unity, he says the country is a blend of 73 tribes with different religions and political persuasions. Despite our diversity, we are all Zambians. Barotse don't think so.
Yeah, even that matter is quite isolated. Even in Barotseland, there are over 38 ethnic groupings that make the people of Western Province. It's not supported by census or opinion. The BNC you are quoting is some small, minuscule, isolated institution, does not reflect the will of the people that live, the over 38 ethnic tribes that live in Western Province. Zambia is a unitary state, founded so one Zambia, one nation, and it lives happily as such.
Okay. Ashkaji, your closing remarks, what would be your message to the High Commissioner?
Well, my message to the High Commissioner would be that, firstly, congratulations on the independence anniversary. And it's really great that it's happening in the same week as the birthday of Oliver Tambo, which is on Friday, and that they've opened Charleston House in his memory. So I think all of that is great. I would really, really, really caution the Zambian government to make very sure that the Guptas are not introduced into the business community in Zambia, because even though they haven't been tried or found guilty of any crimes here, the email linkages showing their linkage to state capture in this country are wide enough and deep enough that I would caution any administration in getting involved with them, because that administration will find that it's to the detriment of the people of that country, even if it might put money in some leaders' pockets.
Thank you very much. And indeed, we congratulate Zambia on their 53rd independence anniversary. That was Question Time for today. A big thank you to my guest and to you for watching the show. From me and the entire crew, you have yourself a wonderful time. I'm Barotse. Welcome back. Barotseland, the Kingdom of the Lozi people, was a protectorate under British colonial rule and became part of Zambia at the country's independence in 1964. The area is now known as Western Province. There are approximately 5 million people living in Barotseland. In terms of the Barotseland Agreement of 1964, the area became part of Zambia. It's alleged that Zambia did not comply with the terms and conditions of that agreement, and therefore rendering it null and void. In 2012, the districts of Barotseland resolved to be separated from Zambia, and they started advocating for their right of self-determination. In 2013, Afumba Mombotwa was sworn in as the Administrator General of Barotseland in defiance of the Zambian government's jurisdiction over that area. Subsequently, 3 of Barotseland Kingdom leaders were arrested in December 2014 on charges of treason, and they were tried and convicted in March 2016 and sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. In April 2018, they lodged an appeal against both their conviction and sentence, but their appeal has not been heard. Now I'm joined in studio by Secretary General of Lunyina Ndambo Youth League, Chris Lubasi, and and the league's Secretary for International Relations, Bright Nyame. Gentlemen, let me welcome you. I'm not even going to try and repeat your names, but just feel welcome.
Thanks. Yes.
Right now, let's talk about this Barotseland story. All of a sudden, come 2012, you're trying to resuscitate something that happened in 1964. And I mean, I know that there were monies that disappeared to the tune of about 78 million euros or pounds. Was it because you were broke?
No, not really. It's because the Zambian government, as a partner in to the 1964 Barotseland Agreement, behaved dishonestly by looting the 78.5 million British sterling pounds, which were in the Barotse Reserve Bank unilaterally. And these acts, unilateral acts by Zambia, began in 1965, barely a year after entering into an international arrangement with Barotseland in Britain. So that continued up to 1969, and when they were able to repeal certain provisions of the agreement against the spirit of the people of Barotseland. And in 1969, the spirit of the agreement was defeated in that the whole of the agreement was abolished by the Zambian parliament.
Okay. Now, Chris, just tell me, why wait so long?
The people of Barotseland are a peaceful people and they're civilized. They believe in the post-millennium doctrine
of solving their problems. It's not, that their quietness means, they cannot do anything, but they're civilized enough to wait until all measures, to secure their country seem to fail. That's when they can, secure other means from somewhere.
What I'm noticing, though, is that you are fairly young comrades, if I may say so. Are you taking up a struggle which your forefathers and your fathers and grandparents failed to conquer? Well, let me hear from you.
Yes, you'd find that most young people are the one who are active. Yes, and the old one, they give guidance to the young ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Bright, listen, there has to be a reason why Barotseland was annexed, if one may say so. Because other annexures in the world caused world wars. But in your case, an annexure caused nothing but a peaceful demonstration for 40 years, and you praying to God and all. That's what your manifesto says. You always rely on God for guidance and all that, instead of fighting for your land.
Yes, yes, we are very civilized people, and we have that patience, and we believe that just achieving greater things doesn't matter of fighting, but even involving the brain and thinking, you sit down and resolve issues.
Okay, what do you want the government of Zambia to do?
We want the Zambian government to recognize that they have no legitimacy over Barotseland.
Okay, they have refused to do that for the past 40 years.
No, we have international law and we abide to that.
They are not respecting it.
We appeal to the international community to come, and help and intervene in this issue.
They have ignored you for 40 years.
No, we have solutions then. Because if peaceful calls for peaceful disengagement processes fail, then we left to choose our own methods of solving this impasse. But I believe they've not yet failed the
this
issue.
matter has not even gone to the United Nations.
It has gone. It has gone.
There's no resolution.
Maybe they're still investigating, but
maybe.
But no, they are still investigating, but it has gone so far.
Well, other stories, I mean, Wira people are recognized at that level. The Palestinians are recognized at that level. Who are you?
We are sure that they will recognize us.
When?
Just now.
Let me
You're still praying?
No.
Let me chip in. The issue of Barotseland has been tabled by international tribunals.
Yeah.
We know in 1994, 1996, His late Majesty King Lute Yeta IV brought this issue to the attention of the Commonwealth. But we hear the authorities then did many processes to hinder the discussion, the progression of the discussion towards solving the issue. So whatever we're doing, we are updating the international community. As you may be aware, there is a government in Barotseland, and
which is not recognized by the government, that is recognized by the African Union.
We are not waiting for African Union to recognize us. We are not waiting for the Zambian government to recognize us. We only want civilized people who are able to call insanity as insanity. Calling a spade as a spade is what we need here. If there are some people in the world who can come and say this is right, the Barotse people have been downtrodden and oppressed on the basis of an agreement that never entered into force. Those are the people we need to talk about.
But why do you need other people from outside to come and tell you that you must be free?
We are already free. What is happening?
You are not.
We are free. What is just happening? These are mere formalities. It's an argument of who has power over our country. We have our government according to the norms and regulations of the Barotse people.
But if that was the case, Brad, if
Yes.
that was the case, your fellows wouldn't have been arrested and sentenced on treason charges.
Yes, but
so it means that they have transgressed the laws of Zambia.
In fact, on that one, they are just trying to violate human rights.
No, they are not trying.
They are violating human rights.
They are violating human rights, actually. Because we are free already. We declared a free, total independence from disengagement from Zambia.
Yes.
And they have not challenged that. It is too valid. They have accepted that.
Do you use passports to go from Barotseland into Zambia?
Let me chip in. No, at the time being, there is no need for that, because we still have this argument going on of who has power over our country. But sovereignty belongs to the people. We were connected to Zambia on express terms and conditions. When Zambia refused that, we have methods. We have another option to restore our own country, and we don't wait for Zambia to nod.
But prior to 1964,
sure,
you were colonized.
We were not colonized. Our express connection with any foreign powers was regulated since the 19th century, when the explorers and missionaries came to Africa.
Yes.
The first encounter of the Barotse people with aliens and foreign powers was through agreements, like the Lokna concession of 1890 by His late Majesty King Lewanika. So this has been the trend of the Barotse people. We were a protectorate. And what is surprising is Zambia was simply inheriting the obligations of the British Crown over Barotseland. But the president never inherited the powers of the Litunga. But what we see is the president assumed the responsibilities of the Litunga, and even went to an extent of colonizing Barotseland, a black-to-black colonization, and that's what we are refusing.
Okay. Today's president in Zambia is what? Is the fifth, sixth?
The sixth president.
Okay. So it's even worse, because under KK, that was like almost 30 years. So you have failed to convince 6 leaders that you need to be independent.
I'm sorry, we have not failed.
Okay, you have not succeeded.
We have not, to some extent we failed to succeed because we were failing to satisfy the requirements of the Zambian regimes. But the issue is, the issue of Barotseland is, threefold. It's a legal issue, it's a rights issue, and also it's a, an independence issue, a matter of liberties. So when you look at the issue of Barotseland, you must understand to say it's not about the Zambian government being convinced of our existence. We do exist.
Of course.
And our right to self-determination cannot be, undermined by anyone.
But, Bright, why are you still relying on God to free yourselves from Zambia when you are 5 million?
We, like I have just said, that we are peaceful people. And we don't want...
Peace has not brought you anything.
It will bring. It will bring.
When?
We are very much confident that this is the reason why we are calling on the international community to intervene.
Okay.
Yes, so that they see how Zambia has mistreated us regarding of even violating the human rights. And as I'm speaking to you this time, the Zambian government has deployed their armory in Barotseland.
Okay.
Yes, the schools, they've been camping. Soldiers are camping on the schools. They are raping. They are raping our pupils. There's no peace in Barotseland, as I speak now.
Okay.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we have run out of time. It's a matter that I would still want to engage you on, because there's a lot of things that you are blaming on this integration into Zambia, social cohesion, there's no peace and all that, because you believe it's because you are annexed, so to say. But we wish you all the best. But you would have to do more than just praying in order to really realize your freedom.
In fact, we are even appealing to the South African government to come in, especially President Cyril Ramaphosa being the SADC chairperson, because we believe always something can be done. The people of South Africa and the people of Barotseland share a common history.
Thank you
so much. Yes.
Well, that was Secretary General of Linyungandambo Youth League, Chris Dubasi Kalaluka, and the League's Secretary for International Relations, Bright Nyame. And Pearl, what have you got?
Well, Paul, at the back of that, we'll take a quick break and we'll return with more news at the top of the hour. Do stay with us here on The Globe.
Christian Lubase Luzongo Kalaluka. I'm the Secretary General for the Nyunganabo Youth League, the party in government in Barotseland. I'm the chairman of the delegation.
Wait a minute, where is Barotseland?
Barotseland is in the Central Southern Africa, currently illegally occupied by Zambia.
So, why are you not in Barotseland?
I'm not in Barotseland for many reasons. One, I'm on an international program to, seek support from progressive movements and governments worldwide towards the issue of Barotseland, the people of Barotseland's right to determine their own affairs. Yeah. And also because there's so many threats that are being issued to all that are standing up for human rights in Barotseland, the right of the people of Barotseland to exist as a nation, which has been denied.
Are you saying yourself you have threats against you?
Absolutely, absolutely. On a daily basis, we receive some information that once we get back to Barotseland, the Zambian government will make sure that we are eliminated, just like has been the case with many leading voices in Barotseland. And our people are being arrested on a daily basis. And it's undercover. They don't even say exactly what offenses those people commit. The moment they know to say you're supporting the right of self-determination of the people of Barotseland, you become enemy number one. And I'm speaking right now, the leader of the Royal Barotseland Government, and His Excellency Right Honorable Afumba Momboto, and two of his cabinet members, Honorable Likando Pelekelo and Honorable Sylvester Kalima Inambao, have been imprisoned for simply taking oath of office to spearhead the dream of the people of Barotseland towards total emancipation of the country.
Tell us more about this dream of the Barotseland people to the right to self-determination.
Yes, we had not been colonized by any country. Even when the scramble for Africa downed, there was never any form of colonization with regards to the Barotse people. When the Britons came, we were simply protected by them. We sought protection at the hands of the Britons. And that has been the case up to 1964, when the Northern Rhodesia, which is totally a British creation, was seeking its own independence. And we, as Barotse nationals, were simply wanting the protection from the Britons to end. And that's how the Britons said, no, you should simply their protection from Zambia, and that's how the agreement was signed.
Yeah, I've seen the Barotseland Agreement 1964. Basically, what is that all about?
It's all about self-governance of Barotseland, the right to continue determining our own affairs, as it were.
Okay, so what happened to the agreement?
It was abolished. It was abrogated even before it entered into force by many pieces of legislation the Zambian regimes, the counter regime enacted. So it couldn't see the light of the day. It was terminated by, first of all, they brought in the issue of the Local Government Act, they brought in the issue of Forestry Act, they brought in the issue of Lands Act, many acts that were targeting the provisions of the agreement. And in 1969 it was totally
in a nutshell. What did this agreement entail?
It's about the right to territorial integrity, sovereignty, and self-rule within Zambia. That's what we needed. We were to be protected by Zambia, but determining our own affairs as it were. But that was rejected by Zambia, and they simply dissolved everything, spoiled everything, stole our monies to establish things to which Barotse, like the University of Zambia, to which Barotse nationals are not allowed to go, or they're not even, if they go there, they're not even given bed space. And if they're given bed space, they're not given any sponsorship, any allowance, any bursary. So,
are you saying that the descendants of the Barotse are now second-class citizens?
Absolutely.
In their own land?
We are second-class citizens. We're not respected. Our language is treated as though it's alien. Everything to do with Barotse is something that is treasonable. By Zambia. When we express ourselves, we're tribal. When we want our rights to be respected, which rights were enshrined in the Barotseland Agreement, then it becomes treasonable that we are not peace-loving. We just want to disintegrate the peaceful state of Zambia. But before the peaceful state of Zambia was established, there was Barotseland, and there is Barotseland, we are Barotse. So, in short, we are second-class citizens. We are not, from being the richest region in the area to becoming the poorest. It's very shameful. We had missionary schools that were established under the Paris Evangelical Missionary Society, which started there in Lesotho, and under the Church of Lesotho. Koilad and other evangelists went to Barotseland at the command of the king and the people of Lesotho. And those missionaries established missionary centers at Sefola, at Luatile, at Mavumbu, with colleges and proper institutions of learning. But those were deliberately ignored and run down by the Zambian regime. So this trend of simply wanting to destroy everything that is Barotse continued up to this day. Lives have been lost for simply standing up and to reject the way things are run by the Zambian government, because there is no right that gives them to do anything in Barotseland without the BA64. So in short, we have been disenfranchised in all aspects of life by the Zambian system that seeks to obliterate Barotseland. Trying to answer your question.
So, I've heard that there is a government in Barotse. How does it all work? You have your own government, but you're within another state, and that state doesn't want you to exist. And
the issue is just straightforward. There is no connection between Barotseland and Zambia, save for the Barotseland Agreement 1964 conditions.
But you said it never took off.
Sure. So what remained was simply some form of cohabitation. It was not a marriage. So we are not within the Zambian state, catchment area, but it's an illegal occupation that is happening. They have no right to do that. They've simply usurped authority over Barotseland using force, just because they have the guns, they have the military equipment. In short,
jumping to today, recently the 2012 National Council in Barotseland made some decisions. What are these resolutions?
Okay, the Barotse National Council simply sought to have a proper stance regarding the Barotseland Agreement of 1964, And it was resolved that it was not wise for the people of Barotseland to continue suffering at the hands of another state, the hands of other people, a novice state created by the signature of our king, King Leonika. So we came to realize to say, it was not good for us to continue begging the Zambian government to honor the treaty when they seemed not to be interested. Our people have been killed in cold blood on 14th January 2011 for simply wanting to talk about the Barotseland Agreement of 1964. The Zambian police descended on them heavily, as though they were criminals. So we had about 19 people dead. We have the statistics here. We have the register here of the people that are missing up to this day, and those that were killed.
So currently, in your attempts to revert back to the Barotseland to its original status, what are you guys doing?
In short, that's what I'm trying to answer. The BNC have resolved to accept Zambia's nullification of the agreement and then put up certain measures that would be followed. And the people of Barotseland in 2012 came up with their own laws. We have the Constitution of Barotseland approved by over 20,000 signatures of the indigenous population, to which, of which about 6,100 signatures were forwarded to the United Nations, to show just how peaceful the people of Barotseland are and how civilized we are. Now, BNC resolutions directed the Lord Chancellor to inform the Zambian government about our decision. Because you must understand to say the Zambian government representatives were there at the 2012 BNC. So the Zambian government was forwarded this letter, the letter, and also the resolutions. And what surprised us was they were not interested to respect our right of self-determination. So since then...
So what was the response?
They were quiet. They were quiet, they never said anything. They simply, sent, troops to Barotseland to, enforce
so that was the
illegal
response.
Occupation. That was the response, not verbal response, but military response. And also, days after the BNC was conducted, the military, the Zambian Air Force, sent some jets to intimidate the people of Barotseland. Flying all over, instilling fear in our people as if there was any military warfare. We believe in the doctrine of post-liminium. We sought integration in Zambia through peaceful means, and so must be part when the terms and conditions of our connection are severed. It is very, very, it's a civilized way of solving problems, but we're dealing with people who seem not to be ready because they have armies. So in short, there is a government in place. On 13th August 2013, His Excellency Reginald Bafumba Momboto, who is the head of government, took oath of office, paying allegiance to His Majesty the King of Barotseland, who is the head of state, and that was followed up by...
Where is this head of government now?
He is arrested for simply taking oath of office, as though oath of office, oath is a property of the Republic of Zambia. They charged them with treason for simply taking oath of office. We are not turning against the Zambian government. We're simply reclaiming what was lost. For many years by Zambia's, treacherous. They reduced our king to a chief, a paramount chief. They dissolved unilaterally our government in Barotseland. They stole our national treasury and built the University of Zambia. About 78.5 million British sterling pounds were stolen. And ever since 1964, the people of Barotseland have been, peacefully protesting
but
those activities of the movements.
protest for such a long time.
You know, there was dictatorship, you know, sooner had they did away with our government, then they started to impose, you know, direct measure of force on the territory. So these people who were peacefully protesting were arrested, sometimes even killed. Others were sent to far-flung areas like Chilundu Island in the Luapula province of Zambia, I think. So this was in a bid to frustrate all efforts, of the Barotse people to reclaim what is rightly theirs.
So one of the resolutions is that the Barotse government should immediately engage the Zambian government with the sole purpose of working out transitional arrangements towards self-determination for the Barotseland within the shortest possible time under the auspices of the United Nations. How far is that?
The Zambian government is not interested. They are only interested when they are the ones who put terms and conditions for you to be engaged with them. But those are wrongdoers, they've offended us, they must not tell us what to do. And now they're talking about dialogue, they want to dialogue. Dialogue over what? When our resolutions are straightforward, there is a government in Barotseland which they don't want to respect. They arrest each and every person who stands for the 2012 BNC resolutions.
Yes.
And they want dialogue over what?
So after these resolutions were made, SADC, the Southern African Development Community, the African Union, the Commonwealth, and the United Nations were informed.
Absolutely.
The question is, what is SADC doing? What is the AU doing? The UN and the Commonwealth? What are the views? In fact, the Commonwealth has a larger role to play in all this.
I'm not really sure, but I understand to say SADC has been reluctant to making sure that peace prevails in the region, in the South region here, in Southern Africa. They seem to be favoring Zambia in that many attempts by Barotse to seek SADC intervention have been, met with deaf ears. They have not seemed to be willing to consider our issue, which is straightforward. We are not overthrowing. The government of Zambia.
We have seen SADC intervening in Zimbabwe. We've seen SADC intervening in Madagascar. We've seen it intervening in places like Lesotho. Why can they do it in Zambia?
That's the question we're asking. Why can't they do it in Barotseland? Maybe SADC looks at the people of Barotseland as not people.
Between Barotseland and Zambia, not in Zambia.
Yeah. It's between Barotseland and Zambia. But the issue is Zambia is a member state of SADC, so they would love to, maybe help Zambia. I'm saying maybe because that's my opinion. We've not officially heard from SADC, though attempts have been made to that effect. But the Royal Barotseland Government, I think, is trying all it can to make sure that they get engaged with the Southern African Development Community.
In the
leadership. Now, the issue, there were some correspondences between the Royal Barotseland Government and the United Nations, but we can't state to which extent, because those are government issues. There are right people who can address those areas. We are the Youth League, we are functionaries, and we have a limited sphere of operation. But there's this kind of communication with the world between our government and those stakeholders. The other issue we're questioning is the AU, African Union.
Yes.
In 2012, just after the BNC, somewhere, I'm not sure, but somewhere around October, the issue was taken to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. African Court on Human and People's Rights in
Arusha.
Gambia, Banjul.
Oh, that in Gambia, that's the commission.
Yes.
The court is in Tanzania.
Yeah, in Tanzania. So the case was taken by the Gambela and others. I think we have that very document. It was admissible, and then the Gambela, on behalf of the people of Barotseland, pursuant to the BNC resolutions of 2012, was told to forward more evidence to that effect. Though Zambia tried to downplay it, but it was realized that Zambia has prima facie case against the people of Barotseland. Gross human rights violations were done by Zambia, and they're continuing to be done by Zambia. But the only premise upon which the court, based its, hope was that the Barotse people had then not exhausted domestic remedies to that effect.
What domestic remedies when you have two disputing lands or countries?
We do not know.
With another imposing itself over the other.
We are of the view that the African Union operates on maintaining the boundaries as left by the colonialists.
But now the question is, the colonialists left Barotseland as is. On the other hand, the question is, local remedies, how far are the courts in Zambia? In fact, you even have a human rights commission in Zambia. How are those?
The human rights commission is for Zambia and not for Barotseland. They don't even talk about anything on the issues of human rights violations to the people of Barotseland.
The courts?
The Human Rights Commission, the Zambia Human Rights Commission, is quiet. The clergy also in Zambia, they're quiet on the issue of Barotseland. We ask as to which God they are praising. They're worshipping when they're quiet on issues of human dignity and integrity. There are no ways the anti-Barotseland systems could favor Barotseland. Everything that is Zambian is for Zambia. Even in courts of law, in Barotseland, whenever a Barotse is arrested, they are first of all arrested, then charged later. It's a process where they take you first of all to some suspected scene of crime, the place where they think that's where you committed the crime, and force you to stand there, and they take you pictures. After taking you pictures, which they would later use as evidence in the court, as it was with His Excellency the Right Honorable Momomoto and team who are incarcerated at the maximum security prison, Mukobeko maximum security prison in Kabwe. So they fabricate evidence themselves, they manufacture evidence.
So you're saying that the state institutions that are supposed to be supporting or rather holding or rather keeping the government in check are actually in on it and part of the Zambia system to oppress the Barotse.
Absolutely. The system in Zambia is anti-Barotseland, in short.
Okay.
Everything from court and, it's just that way. So when you are arrested, the issue is you are guilty until proven innocent. That's the way it operates in Zambia.
Until you prove yourself innocent.
You are guilty. Emorotsi, wherever they are guilty until proven innocent by the court. Thank God, maybe someone be touched by providence to be very truthful. But the system is just hectic.
Okay. So what's the way forward, taking all this brutal history your people have suffered over time? You're very young, you're coming in with the Youth League and you're raising questions about people who want to leave starting to think will never happen, and you are still pursuing the matter.
I think let me just clear the part where you say I'm very young. It's not about being young. You don't know how old I am, but I understand. I'm old enough to understand what should be done.
Yes.
I'm old enough to bear the responsibility, the shared responsibility with the others. We work as a team, as a network.
Yes.
Because the Nyunganambo is an international network of people who love Barotseland and are not allies to hypocrites and liars. That's who we are. So I'm also young enough to have the vibrancy to fight for my own country and the future generations.
Yes.
So I think it has no specific age limit. So the way forward, the Barotse people have determined to go forward, total independence. We have a government, and there's nothing Zambia can do about that. Instead of arresting people in Barotseland and convicting them on charges of treason for simply asserting who they are, they must wake up and realize Barotseland is no longer Zambia. It has never been Zambia. It's been Zambia to some extent by force. We've been Barotse, and when we are Barotse, we are not a tribe, we are a nationality. So we have the right to pursue our own course, and we do not want anyone to dictate to us what we should do. But we need progressive minds to stand with us and say Zambia must withdraw from Barotseland. It's an illegal occupation which has no basis. Our relationship has been terminated by them. What we did was simply to accept that, yes, there is no relationship, and we cannot continue being in the same way of life, which was not favorable for us.
Tell me, don't the Barotse and the general Zambians intermarry and relate?
Even when they do that, the issue is about national rights. Even in 1964, there were those that married Northern Rhodesians, but that could not stop the national rights of Barotseland to be protected in the agreement. You see, it's not about intermarriages or whatever, it's about the national right of Barotseland as a nation, as a state. So in short, we have a government in Barotseland which is working round the clock to make sure that, Barotseland is fully reverted to a decolonized nation state. So the issue of intimidation, the issue of silence, the issue of trying to, occupy Barotseland militarily, rape our people at schools, because these military personnel are encamped right at our schools. There was an issue in 2015 where about 11 girls. 11 girls.
11 to 14.
11, somewhere. The issue was discussed even in Parliament, so it's a straightforward issue. 11 girls were raped. These are underage, girls.
Yes.
They're underage girls. So that is a statutory rape. Whether they conceded or not, the issue is they are underage.
Yeah.
And because we have been impoverished, when they see cash, they see these people who are civil servants encamped in their schools. What do? They go for it.
Yeah.
They fell pregnant. And it became a concern nationwide. You see, our people are being killed in cold blood, others are, disappearing. Up to this day, there are many people that have been, that have not been accounted for. Even their whereabouts are unknown. And the families are not able to voice out because they will be kidnapped as well.
So
it's a serious issue.
There can be even a habeas corpus application before a High Court.
By who? By the Barotse people in Zambia? It's an ego that steals everything that does not belong to it. It's the only country in Africa that claims the whole Africa as their own motherland. We're talking of Barotseland as the land of our forefathers, our ancestors. They're talking about Africa is our own motherland in the second standard. People who claim the whole Africa to be their motherland, what do you expect from them? They have a mindset of stealing even what is not theirs, like in the case of Barotseland. You see, so there's nothing like applying for anything in Zambia. They don't want Barotseland.
So what's your appeal to the world now?
The issue is the world must wake up and see clearly what is happening in Zambia. We are very confident that progressive minds and those who stand for justice, those who love truth and stand for justice, and this means upholding human rights, human integrity, human dignity, and rights of states to self-determination and autonomy, territorial integrity, these many rights will hear us and come to our aid and stop this nonsense by Zambia. There is no way people can be preaching about peace even in SADC when they're tolerating the violation of the rights of the people of Barotseland. Because one time things will get out of the way. And when they get out of hand, when those institutions will come and say, no, let's have peace, who will listen to them? Because they are not respecting the right of the people of Barotseland. If SADC is there, why can't they simply, call Zambian, the Zambian government and the Royal Barotseland Government and discuss this issue on an independent ground, because we do not want a situation where Zambia dictates to us. No, we will never do that. And the people we represent are very ready now to defend their sovereignty, but they respect the rule of law and order. That's why they're taking it this way.
Let's take this to be the beginning of our conversations.
Sure.
And thank you very much for your time.
Please.
And I hope that your right to self-determination, the cause for the right to self-determination will be achieved one day.
I'm very much humbled.
And the world will do what is right and stand by you.
Sure, I'm very much humbled for the provision, for this reg gesture you've given us. And I'm also greatly optimistic that things will work positively.
Silani sa mshemi kaongolo kanyambe wenana mani olito limungaluna itunga luvos imwikutu lwa singula kwa namuso haluli vali niwe naminyolu yi sope ngambela Prime Minister wanahabulozi mkela manyando luhupula chwalo hamoho milenenka ufela manahabulozi political activists inyungandambo BNFA, Youth League, Women's Leagues, civil societies, churches, and the entire nation of Barotseland. Muyoyange wino wino kozo. Barotseland indeed is a vast nation with deep-rooted history. And like a giant tree with a deep taproot system and tall shoot system, our country is destined to be great. Not even the invasions of Makololos and Zambians could stamp out our country into oblivion, but only spur it on to prosperity beyond the 2012 BNC era. Complete disengagement with Northern Rhodesia and complete independence of Barotseland is the only dialogue agenda expected by a nation of Barotseland.
You see, I don't understand why we are having problems, because the people who signed the agreement, like Dr. Kaunda, is still living. The Queen, she's still there. And of course, the institution of Ritunga is still there. The Ritunga we there is able to articulate the agreement. So why not bring the three people together?
The 24th October, celebrated annually, is actually anniversary for Northern Rhodesia, which was a colon protectorate and not independence for Barotseland. The change in the state of affairs was not by accident, but calculated moves masterminded by the first Republican president, Mr. Kenneth Kaunda, and perpetrated by his successor presidents. This marked the beginning of the horrors of Barotseland's Zambianship. The unilateral abrogation of BA 64 by Zambia as early as 1969 started the horrors of Zambianship. The design targeted all sectors in Barotseland to swallow up the country and erase it from the global map, if possible, all aimed at enslavement of Barotseland through weakened economic base and conversely political base. Abolishment of one of the most lucrative sources of income for Barotseland, the Winela was the first step targeting Barotse labor force. The scheme continued for over 50 years in different forms, now resulting in deployment of Barotses away from home country, retirement before time, and firing of civil servants of Barotse origin on pretext of national interests. Between 1964 and 70s, Kaunda launched an onslaught that crippled the education system in Barotseland. The sport in Barotseland was equally targeted and ran down. Barotseland national boundaries were encroached. Barotseland National Treasury was looted also. Barotseland national institutions were rhetorically named. For example, Barotseland National Government, BNG, was renamed BRE, Barotseland Royal Establishment. The Church of Barotseland.
After years of rising tensions, the Barotseland National Council retaliated by declaring its independence from Zambia in March 2012.
Challenge the Zambian government to boldly accept formal separation with us, and they will see what we intend to do in just 5 short years.
Meanwhile, Zambia claims to the international community that it has undertaken some developments for Barotseland, when in actual sense there has been nothing to that end. What is on record is a long list of failed projects done for Western Province, a territory that is not Barotseland. All these and many more political economic tactics, or evils committed by Northern Rhodesians against Barotseland, are a clear testimony that Zambia was determined to disadvantage our land perpetually in all terms. Additionally, there has been no meaningful development Northern Rhodesia could ever do in Barotseland. Therefore, the 2012 BNC is a historic and emphatic no that wrecked Zambia's attempted colonialism of black-on-black order over Barotseland.
The economic transformation of Western Province is a key element of Vision 2030, will create more than 100,000 direct jobs in 10 districts of Western Province through the development of the cashew value chain in Mongu, Lemolunga, Senanga, Kalabo, Nalolo, Sekongo, Shangombo, Sioma, Lukulu,
$20,000 people is not a joke. What they have done is legitimate. And since our relationship had been later based on cheap and unfounded politicking, effected by the barrel of the police guns, we have taken the step in the right direction to acquire sovereignty and to consummate our liberty. What should be done or considered are the following. Workable approach. We should have a workable approach. In the workable approach, the first thing is that people have to renounce and reject the name Western Province. So you reject the name Western and be yourself and demand respect. Secondly, you reject or renounce Zambian nationality, if any. 3, acclaim the Ritunga as head of state of Barotseland. 4, proclaim Barotseland as a country with its own right. 5, declare the office of the president irrelevant in Barotseland, the king's land, considering that the office of the president does not serve the interest of the king or the people. Declare the office of the vice president irrelevant as well from Barotseland. How can we have the office of the vice president in Barotseland when we have the office of the Ngambela or Sofi? stop recognizing the deputy minister as the head of Barotseland. He represents the president and he is politically above the Litunga. 8. Recognize chiefs as Lord Prince or Lord Princess in Barotseland. Recognize the Silaro chiefs. Recognize all relevant authorities established in accordance with the wish of the Barotse people and in conformity with our laws. Understand that Barotseland does not belong to Zambian political parties. This is how sovereignty is restored, not
in
by
the liberation
finger-pointing
bloc
or
of
gossiping.
Barotseland. It is now time for all of Barotseland nationals to rally behind the BTG or RBG in unity of purpose and clarity of focus for the ultimate cause in entrenching the ideals espoused as 2012 BNC and UDI mandate. Tukongote, Omana Nongolo.